Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back with Alysia Lyons, our intuitive coach, mom support coach, and founder of her own company. She's here helping so many moms release that mom guilt and increase that peace in their lives. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm great. I mean, there's more to you as a mom, as an author. There's a lot to get to. And for those that may not know, let me just spell your name. It's ALYSIALYONS.com. And that's the website. That's her name. Excited to get started with you again and to be back. So please introduce yourself to everyone before we start today.
Yeah, so I'm Alysia Lyons, and as she said, I'm the mom support coach. I'm an intuitive coach, so I listen to what you're saying and get into what's underneath the words. And my goal is to help eliminate mom guilt and increase the peace in all of the moms' lives, because moms are the head of the or what is that line from the movie? The dad's the head, but the mom is the neck and can turn the head any way that
I
she
never
wants
heard
to
that, but
go.
that's true. Like a puppeteer.
Big Fat Greek Wedding is what that's from, and it's funny, but it's true because mom kind of sets the tone of the household.
I agree. And I think a lot of us, though, are not so peaceful. We're experiencing some chaos in our lives, in our home. And I know that's why you incorporate your peace into that. And we're going to talk about the peace assessment. We're going to talk about all she has to offer. But it's exciting to know that you're here helping so many moms. And just a quick background of why you do this. Would you mind sharing a little bit about what you went through?
Sure. So I've been a mom. So my son's 12 years old. So I've been a mom for 12 years. And around the time he was 4 years old, something happened that I started feeling guilty about, because it was out of my control. It wasn't something that I planned. And when that happened, I tried to get justice for the situation, and there wasn't any. And so that then I started blaming myself,
Yeah.
that I let it happen. I didn't get justice for him. And so um, then it took a couple of years to realize that I was feeling guilty. And it showed up one day. I was at a doctor's appointment for him for a different situation. And when it got brought up, they wanted to file a police report, and I left the office, and I was so angry that they weren't listening to me, that we'd already done this, blah, and so on. And I'd been in coaching at that point. I'd been a client for at least a year by the time that happened, and I thought, well, that was kind of an interesting reaction.
Mm-hmm.
That is out of character
Say
for
the
me. I'm
least.
not the kind of person that just gets angry and walks out. And so I brought it up to my coach, and my text message was, I think I might feel guilty about something.
Yeah.
Um, and and ultimately I was in a program to become a coach. And we walked through this. I was the demo for that exercise, and I had this just huge shift, and because I was holding on to it as I let someone hurt my son,
Mm-hmm.
and so that I was like as if I had complete control over that situation.
Yeah.
So then once I let it go, I recognized guilt. Mom guilt was everywhere. I started interviewing moms, and I just, there was just guilt everywhere. And um, I had way more confidence in my writing skills than in my speaking skills at the time, or in my coaching skills. And so I wrote down everything that I thought would be helpful for moms feeling guilty
Mm-hmm.
about 14 or 15 different topics. And that became my book, Good Mom Rules, Ditch Mom Guilt and Find Your Happy.
Oh, well, and how can we find the book, by the way?
The best way to find it is to go to my website, AlysiaLyons.com/books with an S.
Perfect. And now that you're back here today, we just had Halloween. I hope all the kids are doing well and everyone, right? Did you get a lot of trick-or-treaters where you are? You're in Fresno, right?
I am in Fresno. We're out in the outskirts, so we don't have, there's nobody that comes to our house. So we go trick-or-treating. But
Good.
we had a lot of fun just walking around the neighborhood. And the neighborhood we go to is super creative with all of the stuff. And so it was a lot of fun to go around with him. And my son made his own costume because we thought we ordered a mask for him and it didn't come because we apparently didn't hit submit. And so he made his own mask, and it was so creative and I was so proud of him. It was really cute.
See, instilling that creativeness, and it's awesome. You're right. You got to make, what do they say? You got to turn the lemons into lemonade. Yeah,
Lemons and the
something like that
lemonade, yep.
happens. That's so
So
sweet. He
much
took
of
it.
being a mom is pivoting. Like we got to pivot. You can't
Yes.
just not have a costume.
No, and
You
that's the
got to
perfect
pivot.
way. And that's the perfect example. Well, for
Yeah.
today, what did you want to share with your audience and listeners about the book, about your work? Where did you want to start?
Yeah, that's a great question.
That's
We've
what I
talked so
say.
many times. I
Hmm.
feel like we've covered everything, but I know you have new listeners all the time. I think that the most important thing about peace is that one thing that women want to do, and maybe men do it too, but I work mostly with women, but
Hmm.
we want to control the external in order to feel the feel under in control internally.
Yeah.
And so we want our children to behave a certain way. We want our spouse to behave a certain way. We want our coworkers to treat us. So like we want to control the situation when the reality is that our plans never survive collision with another human.
Hmm.
So the best thing to do is to create that internal peace. So regardless of what's going on
Yeah.
externally, you're going to feel peaceful on the whole.
We hope so. I
So
want that inner
yeah,
peace. Right? That's
yes,
what we're
yeah.
looking for.
Yeah, so we're moving, and in part of the moving, we're painting the walls in the new place, and I've never painted anything before, and so in my mind, it's super easy. You just tape everything up and you slather some paint on the wall, and you're done. And it's
Hmm.
not that way. It took us 2 days to paint my son's room, and we've got, I think, three more rooms to paint. I was like,
Wow.
well, that's not going to be good since we have the weekends pretty much is our time to paint. So one of the things that we've done is pivoting, and we've asked some of our family and friends to help us. We have friends that are do it professionally, and so they've
Hmm.
given us tips. And but the most important thing I think was that we maintained a positive attitude about it. My son was excited about painting, and then he got a little bored about halfway through. And so he found something else that needed to be done on in the house, like the pool needed to be cleaned, the slide going down the pool. And so he started cleaning the pool. And the dogs needed to be entertained. So he started entertaining the dogs. So there was I think that it could be a situation where parents would get irritated at the kid that they're not helping or not ask them to help at all. The other thing that he did that was really creative was we got new couches and there were boxes that the new couches came in, and he built the coolest fort in the
Wow.
living room that's going to
Hmm.
go into his room once it's finished painting.
Oh my goodness. I love it.
So I know that's not like a super crazy hectic thing, but we do a lot of times we have expectations about a way that things can are supposed to go,
Hmm.
and then it doesn't go that way, and then it creates unrest. It creates the opposite of peace. And so it's a really important to pivot and to see a different side and to see the bright side of any given situation.
Yeah, it's so true to look at that glass half full rather than half empty, which some people have trouble doing that. But you're
That's right.
coaching moms to change that point of view in a sense, right?
Yeah. So when we can focus on what's going on inside of us,
Mm-hmm.
then we are less likely to project that out onto other people. So I was actually talking to or coaching a mom the other day, and she had, a little bit of a tumultuous growing up. Her mom was not as kind as she could have been when fixing her hair, and it was like the appearance to everyone else was more important than her daughter's comfort. And when she would hurt her daughter because she had a tender head, she'd smack her on the head with the wooden brush and
Yeah.
say, "Get over it, it hurts." Like instead, and what she
Mm-hmm.
really wanted was, I know it hurts. I'm so sorry.
Ah.
We're almost done. That's what she wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And so when her daughter goes over to grandma's house, and her daughter comes back with that hairstyle, she's feeling triggered. Mom is feeling triggered
Yeah.
because she knows the pain that the daughter is going through. Well, so we actually talked it out, and we're like, do we know? Like, has she said that grandma's hitting her on the head with a wooden brush, or has grandma grown and grandma
Yeah.
seen the changes in what? So we had to look at some of the things that were triggering her. Is it the current experience? Because if it's the current experience, we can make some adjustments. We can have a conversation with grandma. We can talk to our daughter and say, "I know grandma's hurting your head, and I'm so sorry that she's not apologizing. And I will talk to grandma and ask her to be a little more tender and sensitive with you." So
Oh,
those are things that we can do. And if it's not happening, then we can address that 8-year-old girl inside of us that wanted her mom to say, "I'm sorry," and
yeah.
we can give her what she
What
needs.
she
And then the
needs.
trigger is not there as much.
Well, I love that. We have to be open to that and, more sensitive to other people's needs, right? And sometimes
Yeah.
realize that they're thinking different than we are. How do we address that little mind and do it the right way?
And all that guilt can cloud everything. So one of the things that I was doing when I was feeling guilty is I was trying to control all the situations, and I
Mm-hmm.
got into some tense conversations with some family members
Yeah.
because they weren't doing it the way that I think that it should be done, when really I was trying to be overprotective now because I wasn't able to protect him in the past.
Yeah.
And so instead of allowing the relationship to be as it is and have calm conversations with the person who I disagree with, I would snap at them, and it was creating some tension with people that I love. And so that was another way that I knew that something was going wrong, but I actually didn't know it until after I let go of the guilt. And that's why I'm so passionate about, like, we got to get rid of the guilt, because you don't know how it's affecting you until you let it go.
Mm. I'm going to start singing, let it go. But it's true. You have to do the frozen thing.
You do. Yeah.
How do we contact you? Remind us again of all the ways we can reach out to you, and then we'll continue the show.
Sure. I'm at Mom Support Corner on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And my website is AlysiaLyons.com. And if you want to contact me, you can send me a DM on any of the socials, or you can email me at info@AlysiaLyons.com.
All right, Alicia, excited that you're here. And don't forget, we got to pick up the copy of the book. As our mom support coach, we got to support her and urge everyone to also read that book. And don't forget, you offer that initial consultation, right?
Yeah. So, um, a ba I think the best way to kind of figure out where you are
Yes.
in your peacefulness
Yeah.
is to take the peace assessment that I've created that's on my site, and it's AlysiaLyons.com/peace, PEACE. And those stand for people, emotions, assets, chaos, and exhaustion. So the people in our life the emotions that we feel, how comfortable are we expressing them and feeling them. Our assets, the physical surroundings. I mentioned I'm moving, so my physical surroundings is a
Mm-hmm.
little low right now because there's a little unrest in the
Chaos.
home, but I
Yes,
know
I
it's
get it.
temporary.
I'm decorating for Halloween. There's stuff everywhere. I get it. I get it. But that feeling of
Yeah, yeah.
disarray and unorganization makes your mind feel cluttered as well.
It does. It does. And I have a place for everything and everything in its place. And I don't enjoy when the things are not in their place. And so I do a little self-coaching sometimes. It's like, it's okay, it's temporary. We're gonna get to the new place and everything will find its place again. Um, the chaos is our schedules. We are overscheduling ourselves. We are overscheduling our children. It's the way of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, like I said earlier, our plans don't survive collision with other people. So one thing for me, it was really disruptive when I would have a plan and that my plan wouldn't happen the way that I envisioned it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times that would just shut me down. It's like, well, I didn't get to this when I thought I was going to, so I'm done now. For the
Yeah.
rest of the day, everything's ruined. And then the exhaustion is our self-care. It's really so important when we're caregivers as moms. We take care of our kids at the very minimum, but I think we take care of everybody else too. And we put ourselves last on the list. And I think it's
Absolutely
important to
true.
put ourselves first.
Mm-hmm.
It's not selfish. And actually, I said it is selfish to take care of yourself. Who said
But
selfish being bad was bad?
yeah, right? Oh, well, do you have any stories that you want to share about the people, the moms, especially that you've been working with, and some of the struggles they're going through that you're able to guide them through? What has been the most, what's been the hardest situation that you've ever encountered with someone going through this program? If you don't mind, you have to share their name, but just curious some of the challenges that people, moms, dads are facing with their families.
Yeah, there's a lot of generational healing that needs to happen with all of us. And I'll tell you, the first time I went to this coaching program where I learned to be a coach, there was someone who started crying, and the facilitator of the event brought her to the front of the room and had her cry her ancestral tears. And I was like,
Ah,
I don't know what that is, but I don't want any part of it. So I don't do that with people necessarily, but there is things that, this client I mentioned earlier, who's going through the 6-week program at the moment, her we got to this point where she is a better mom than her mom was, and her mom is a better mom than her mom was, which means
yeah.
her daughter's going to be a better mom than all of the generations. And that's what we got to focus on, is like, we're doing the best that we can with tools and resources that we have at the time. We have access to so many tools and resources right now that we I don't want us to just rest on, well, I'm doing the best that I can right now. If you are doing the best that you can right now, and there's more that we can look at. There's more that we
Yeah.
can learn. We've never had access to information like we do now. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we're judging our parents by how they raised us when they only had the information that they had in front of them. They didn't have the World Wide Web. They didn't have all the people who are turning around, learning a lesson, turning around and helping others that we have now. And so that is a big thing that a lot of people need help around, is the relationship with their parents.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you become a mom, when you become a dad,
Ah,
all of the files of mom and dad get opened up. And so nobody triggers us like our children. They
so
have
true.
the power that no one else does. And
Mhm.
when you unhook the trigger, they don't have that power anymore. There's nothing goes off anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what my program is designed to do, is to help you heal some of the past, work on what's going on in the present so that we can create a brighter future.
Perfect. I love hearing that. That's what we're all about, trying to increase and to help and to give and to work with. And I know it's moms, but do you work with dads too?
I do work with dads occasionally when they run across my path and they have something come up and they want to connect with me, then absolutely. I focus mostly on moms. I just have a soft spot for moms, but there's a lot of Mr. Moms out there, um, and I've been told by men I have a unique understanding of men, and I have a
Yeah.
feeling that it's because I had all brothers that
Mm-hmm.
were older than me. And then a younger brother as well. So I've observed and I've paid attention, and I try to think like a man when I'm in front of men and think like a woman when I'm in front of a woman.
I hear you. Well, also, the struggle is real, ladies and gentlemen. And as a mom, there's so much that goes into it. And I feel like now more than ever is like the most stressful time of the year coming up, right? We have a lot on our plates, right? Kids are back to school. We got the holidays upon us, right? We just went through Halloween. We got Thanksgiving. Oh my gosh. We have Hanukkah. We have Christmas. We have New Year's. It's a lot more stress, I think, to manage and juggle everything, right? Sports are in full swing. There's a lot happening. And it is our busy season to really, I think a lot of us start to get that stressed and that anxiety. And do you notice an uptick in that around this time of year? And any suggestions how we could just chill and get that peace because there's a lot more happening the next 2 months, right?
That's so true. This time of year is has a lot of pros and cons. There's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of energy, and there's a lot of stress. And sometimes the stress isn't even our own. We're picking it up from the collective.
Yeah.
But what we can do um, is it's kind of a simple trick, but I make lists of what needs to get done,
Okay.
either on the whole, and then chunk it down to what needs to get done between now and the end of the year, what needs to get done in December and November,
Yeah.
and then what needs to get done this week, and then what needs to get done today. So I think that when we have it, I do this too, where I'll look at all the big picture of what
Yeah.
needs to get done, and I will get overwhelmed, especially with this moving. We in our family we call it packing paralysis, where there you just look at the whole thing and it's overwhelming and you don't know where to start. And so if so number one, I've enlisted help.
Yeah.
And number two, I have a plan for what's going to get done this weekend, next weekend, and the following weekend, and so on. So that, and then I'm adjusting the plan. I thought we were going to get all of the painting done this weekend. We didn't.
You're
So
like,
we're going to
nope.
do it next weekend. We're going to shift. We're going to pivot. We're going to move along. We're going to move things through. But that writing things down, when you see it, for me at least, I know it's not a thing that everybody feels comfortable with, but when I see the list and then I chunk it down the way that I explained, and I get to cross things off that list, oh,
Ah, makes
it
it
just
feel so
feels so
good.
good. Yeah.
Yes.
And write down self-care on the list, write down making dinner for the kids if that's your job. Like, write down things that you're going to do, whether you write it down or not, so that you get to cross it off the list.
God bless. Absolutely. I love lists. I love Post-its. I have them all over there in front of my wall. It's just like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like checking things off a list. Some people do it on their phone and I don't even know. Like I can't like the calendars and stuff. I'm more of the write down girl, yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
But I like feeling accomplished and getting things done. And I think that'll help us with the stress we also take out upon our children, right? If we manage our own stuff the right way, gives us more time to
Yeah.
breathe and space and, time to breathe with your kid and enjoy the little things with them and do the
Mhm.
homework with them and not fight with them and be calm.
Right. We don't want this time of year to be stressful for them in the future, right? Um,
Exactly.
and I have a language that I have with my son that there's an analogy that when surfers get pulled under by the undertow, there's once they get out of the first
Okay.
undertow and they start swimming up, there's a
Oh.
second undertow. But a lot of people don't know there's a second one, and they let out their breath, and that's how they end up drowning. So I told that analogy to my son, and I said, when I'm cranky at night, because I get cranky, like there's a moment
Don't we
where I
all?
get cranky. And when I get cranky at night, I'll let him know I've just let out my last breath. And yesterday, with all the work that was done, I let out my breath at 6 p.m. And I told him, I said, listen, I've got nothing left right now. I'm barely standing. My body hurts so much. It's so physical painting. I love you, and I need some grace. And he was happy because he didn't get to be on the computer at all this weekend. So he was
Right.
like, I'm gonna go on the computer, play with my friends. So we just have this language that, like, I can tell him I'm tired, and he can do the same to me.
Well, I hope we all get some rest with this daylight savings thing. We got an extra hour, right? That's a start. That's a
Love
start.
that. I love daylight savings when we get the extra hour.
I know, it feels so good. Well, thank you for joining us, for being here, and let's remind everyone of all the ways we can contact you.
Sure, you can go to my website, AlysiaLyons.com, and join my newsletter. You get a copy of a chapter of my book emailed directly to you. And you can go to Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or YouTube, and I've got videos there, and you can
Perfect.
direct message me and I'll reply.
And pick up a copy of the book too while you're at it. Thank you.
Mm.
All right. Thanks so much. Looking forward to the
Thank
next time we
you.
get to connect, and enjoy the rest of your week, and good luck with the move. When is it going to be official?
We are out of this place at the end of the month. So
All right. All right. All right. Good luck. Good luck getting things done. It feels
you.
good, right? All right.
It
Enjoy
does,
your
yeah.
day. And to all of our viewers and listeners, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more. Please stay with us.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.